The morning fog was thick in the coastal town of Rockport, Maine, swallowing the streets in a dense gray haze. The Atlantic air carried a salty chill, curling around the weathered docks and sleepy neighborhoods. It was the kind of morning where everything felt a little too quiet, a little too still. And then the phone rang. Karen Thompson answered it on the second ring, her voice groggy from sleep. "Rockport PD, ma'am? We need to ask about your daughter, Lily." The words hit her like a brick. Lily had gone to her best friend Rachel Monroe's house the night before. A simple sleepover, nothing unusual, but around 10:30 p.m. Lily had decided to head home. It was a quick bike ride, just 10 minutes down the road past Old Hollow Bridge. She had done it 100 times before. Only this time, she never made it home. Karen's hands trembled as she grabbed her phone, scrolling through messages. There was one from Lily sent at 10:34 p.m., leaving now. That was the last time anyone had heard from her. By sunrise, an officer had found her bike abandoned near Old Hollow Bridge, the front wheel still slowly spinning as if she had just been there. But there was no sign of Lily, no footprints leading away, no skid marks, no broken glass. It was like she had disappeared into the fog. Detective Ethan Graves arrived at the scene within an hour. A seasoned investigator with a reputation for solving tough cases, he stood at the bridge, staring at the last known trace of Lily Thompson. The bridge was old and rusting, spanning a deep river gorge where the water churned violently below. Some said the place was haunted, a place where things went missing. Graves didn't believe in ghosts, but he believed in monsters. And as he crouched beside the fallen bicycle, he knew one thing for certain: this was no accident. Somewhere in the misty woods of Rockport, a secret was waiting to be uncovered. Detective Ethan Graves stood in the Thompson family's small living room, his notebook open, his mind already working through the details. Karen Thompson, Lily's mother, sat on the couch, her hands wringing together as if trying to hold herself together. "She always lets me know where she is," Karen said, voice shaky. "She's not the type to just disappear." Graves nodded. He had heard that phrase before, but kids did disappear, and more often than not, it wasn't by choice. He turned to Lily's best friend, Rachel Monroe, the last person to see her that night. Rachel's face was pale, her eyes red from crying. "We were watching movies," she murmured. "Lily said she needed to get home before her mom freaked out. She left around 10:30 p.m. "Did she seem scared? Was she acting different?" Graves asked. Rachel shook her head. "No, she was just Lily." Graves tapped his pen against his notepad. Lily had texted Rachel at 10:34 p.m., leaving now. That meant she was still on schedule, still expecting to arrive home soon. But she never made it. There were no 911 calls that night. No witnesses had come forward yet. It was as if the fog had swallowed her whole. Then Graves got his first lead. Security camera footage from a gas station near Old Hollow Bridge showed Lily riding past at 10:38 p.m. The timestamp was clear. She was But something else caught his eye, a dark-colored pickup truck parked on the corner of the street. The headlights flashed once, then the truck pulled out right after Lily passed. Graves leaned closer. The truck's license plate was missing. He rewound the footage, watched again. Somebody was following Lily. Graves felt his stomach tighten. He had seen cases like this before, cases where people thought they were safe, where they thought they were just going home, until they weren't. Somewhere out there, in the fog-covered streets of Rockport, Lily Thompson's trail had gone cold. But Graves wasn't about to let it stay that way. Detective Ethan Graves sat in his office, the dim glow of his desk lamp illuminating the pile of case files stacked in front of him. The Rockport PD station was quiet this late at night, but his mind refused to rest. He replayed the security footage again, eyes locked onto the dark-colored pickup truck that had followed Lily. No plates, no clear view of the driver. It was frustrating, like staring at a puzzle with missing pieces. But something about the case nagged at him. Lily wasn't the first girl to vanish near Old Hollow Bridge. 2 years ago, Ava Sinclair, a 19-year-old local waitress, had also disappeared under eerily similar circumstances. Same location, same fog-covered night, same lack of evidence. Her case had gone cold, written off as a runaway. But what if she hadn't run? Graves pulled Ava's file from the archive, flipping through the old reports. The details made his stomach tighten. One witness, a fisherman who had been out near the bridge on the night Ava vanished, reported seeing a dark pickup truck parked on the roadside. At the time, it hadn't seemed important. Now it was everything. Graves grabbed his coat and headed for Diane Sinclair's house. Ava's mother opened the door, her tired eyes widening in surprise. "Detective Graves? I need to ask you about Ava," he said, stepping inside. Diane's home was filled with memories. Framed pictures of Ava, awards from school, a birthday card still pinned to the fridge. It was a shrine to the daughter who had never come home. "She didn't run," Diane said quietly. "I told them, but no one listened." Graves listened. "Now, did she ever mention anyone following her? Did she seem scared?" he asked. Diane hesitated. A week before she disappeared, she said she thought she was being watched. She was getting texts from a blocked number, just weird messages. "I see you. You're beautiful when you walk home at night." Stuff like that. Graves felt his pulse quicken. It wasn't a coincidence. The Rockport woods were eerily quiet as Detective Ethan Graves stepped off the main trail, his boots crunching against damp leaves. Thick fog clung to the trees, wrapping around their twisted branches like ghostly fingers. It had been 3 days since Lily Thompson vanished. The urgency in the case was rising. They were running out of time. Then a local hiker made a chilling discovery. Graves had gotten the call that morning. A note had been found wedged between the bark of an old tree near a secluded trail not far from Old Hollow Bridge. The paper was dirty, tattered, as if it had been exposed to the elements for a long time. The words, however, were still legible, scribbled in frantic handwriting. "He's watching me. I can hear him at night. Please, someone find me." And at the bottom, scrawled in uneven letters, "Ava Sinclair." Graves tightened his grip on the note. Ava had written this before she disappeared. Had she tried to escape? Had she been held somewhere deep in these woods? A shiver ran through him. If Ava had been taken, and now Lily was gone, was it possible she was still alive too? Graves turned to the K9 search unit, which had been combing the area. "Where exactly did you find this?" he asked the lead officer. "About 20 yards off the trail," the officer replied, "wedged in the bark like someone wanted it found, but not right away." Graves examined the tree's location. It wasn't a random drop site. Whoever had placed it there had time. Which meant one thing. The kidnapper had kept Ava alive for some time before she vanished completely. His eyes swept the misty treetops. Ava had tried to leave a clue, and if she had been held out here, there was a place to find. A cabin, a shack, a hiding spot. Graves turned back to the team. "We're not just looking for Lily," he said. "We need to find where Ava was kept." Detective Ethan Graves gripped his flashlight tighter as he stepped deeper into the forest. The thick canopy above blocked most of the moonlight, casting long, shifting shadows across the ground. Every sound, the snap of a twig, the distant hoot of an owl, made the hair on his neck stand up. He had followed a new lead, a set of old tire tracks, half buried beneath fallen leaves, leading away from where Ava Sinclair's note had been found. And now, standing before him, was an abandoned hunting cabin. It was small, barely standing with its wooden planks warped by time. The windows were either broken or boarded up, and the front door hung slightly ajar as if someone had left in a hurry. Graves motioned for his backup, 2 officers with weapons drawn, to move in behind him. "Rockport PD," he called out, stepping onto the creaky porch. "If anyone's in there, show yourself." Silence. Then, a sound from inside. A slow, deliberate creak, like the shifting of weight on an old wooden floor. Graves signaled to his team before pushing the door open. The stench hit him first, damp wood, mildew, and something else, something rotten. The room was a nightmare frozen in time. A rusty metal chair sat in the middle of the floor, its legs bolted down. Next to it, a chain dangled from a hook in the ceiling. Dark stains, some old, some fresher, painted the floorboards beneath it. On the far side of the room, a makeshift mattress lay on the ground, covered in a thin, dirty blanket, and beside it, Graves saw something that made his stomach clench. A pink backpack. Lily's. She had been here, recently. He took a step forward, heart pounding. He reached down and unzipped the backpack. Inside, he found a school notebook, a crushed granola bar, and a phone. Lily's phone. It was dead, but the cracked screen still displayed a notification. One unsent message, Mom. Detective Ethan Graves stepped carefully through the hunting cabin, the wooden floor groaning beneath his weight. The air inside was thick with dampness and decay, but he ignored it. Lily had been here, recently. That meant there was still a chance. His eyes darted to the pink backpack on the floor. The unsent text message on her cracked phone haunted him. What had she tried to say? As he knelt beside the mattress, he noticed something else. A small scrap of fabric wedged between the old wooden boards. It looked like part of a t-shirt, ripped and stained. Then, a noise. A branch snapped outside. Graves's heart pounded. He grabbed his gun and signaled to the officers outside. They moved swiftly, their flashlights cutting through the thick trees. Someone was here. Someone was watching. A rustling sound came from behind the cabin. Graves sprinted around the side just in time to see a figure disappearing into the darkness. "Stop," he shouted, but the person was fast, slipping between trees with practiced ease. Graves and the officers ran after them, crashing through the underbrush. The figure reached a small clearing where a black pickup truck was parked. The same truck from the security footage? Graves raised his gun. "Hands up! Step away from the vehicle!" The figure froze for a moment, then made a sudden move toward the driver's side door. One of the officers fired a warning shot into the air. The suspect hesitated, just long enough for Graves to tackle him to the ground. The man struggled, his face covered in sweat and dirt. His jacket was torn, revealing deep scratches along his arms, as if someone had fought back. Graves' stomach churned. Lily had fought back, and then he saw it, dangling from the man's wrist. A silver charm bracelet. Karen Thompson had described it to him the night Lily disappeared, her favorite bracelet, the one she never took off. Graves clenched his fists. This was their guy. "Where is she?" Graves growled, pinning the suspect harder against the ground. The man let out a slow, eerie chuckle. "You're too late, detective." But Graves wasn't giving up. Not now. Not ever. Lily Thompson was out there. And he was going to bring her home.